Okay, looks like we've got a full house. So welcome everyone to today's webinar. For those new connections that I have not met yet, my name is Dom Barnes. I am a Senior Relationship Manager / Client Advisor for Latitude, based in the London office. So today, as per the invites, we'll be looking at the power of holding dual citizenship, with a specific focus on the Nigerian market, which has become a large consumer of RCBI solutions. So my largest client base is Nigeria, spread across Lagos and Abuja. As a group, we've done around 50 clients and their families in terms of facilitation for these solutions. So what we're going to do, the order of play is I will hand you over, following this introduction, to a strategic partner of mine. He's managing partner of a law firm, Ken and Kent Lawyers, and he will be speaking about the specifics of the Nigerian nationality law. So let's start and we'll proceed to the presentation now. So a little bit of background on the Latitude Group. So residency and citizenship by investment on the private client side. We also have a very experienced government advisory team who will go to governments to advise them on how to implement, framework these residency and citizenship by investment solutions. You can see there as a group, 1,500 successful clients, really an unparalleled amount of experience with respect to our global team. There you can see a graphic of our far-reaching presence for the Latitude Group. So let's look at the key client solutions. So the three main categories there. Today we will be focusing only on citizenship by investment, but I'll just quickly give you an overview of the difference between residency by investment and citizenship by investment. So with residency by investment, again, it's an investment category of immigration. That's all we deal with, whereby an investor migrant is acquiring status in another country, enabling them to live, work, study in that country. Okay. Now there is a route, or after a certain amount of years of physically living or holding residency status in a country, you can apply to be naturalized. The key difference with citizenship by investment is these programs are a frameworked, direct path to acquiring a new citizenship and therefore a new travel document with the passport. So you can see there with the description, an improved global mobility with a more permissive passport. So on one hand, you've got the value being a second passport that provides far greater global mobility for leisure, to access different markets for business. And you also have, the other important value point of a second citizenship also being an important insurance policy, especially in today's world where, you really need to be planning for the likes of pandemics and any sort of adverse conditions that are around the corner. So it's a twofold value point: increased mobility and also bolstering your citizenship insurance, if you like. So if we look at why are clients coming to us, why is Nigeria becoming year on year a hot source market for what we do? Again, the key client motivation there for citizenship by investment is the mobility play. Having that second passport so that you can pick up your bags, fly straight to Europe, to the UK, to Hong Kong, Singapore, and many other strategic destinations. Here's a quick timeline and graphic on a typical client journey. So at the start with the private consultation, which would either be a face-to-face or a virtual meeting, such as this one over a Zoom call, where we discuss the prospective client's motivations, what their aims are, the family composition. We then, we look at the financial assessment, because like I said, the immigration we're dealing with here is investment based. Once the client has selected an RCBI, Residency and Citizenship by Investment solution. We, as the investment migration advisory firm that is a licensed agent, which is very important for all of the programs, the CBI programs that we advise on and facilitate. We have our processing and legal team that will build these files on behalf of our clients. Once this file is built, it is then submitted to the government body. We wait usually 90 to 120 days for a decision, and then the bulk of the investment or the full contribution is paid post-approval. We also have an exclusive club for our clients that can take advantage of post-citizenship solutions, on-the-ground solutions such as acquiring a driver's license. If our clients would like to diversify their asset base to hold USD, say in St. Kitts, these are services that we can facilitate. So now I'm going to hand you over to Kenny, as you can see there, managing partner of Ken and Kent Lawyers. He's also a dual citizen, so a perfect example, not through investment, but he does hold his UK and Nigerian nationalities, and he resides between Abuja and the UK. So Kenny, I'll hand over the presentation to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Don, for the introduction. It's always good to have the opportunity to talk about citizenship by investment, and the topic of our webinar session today is the power of holding dual citizenship. My focus today will be more on Nigerian law and the right to have dual citizenship as a Nigerian citizen. We Nigerians, the main law in Nigeria, the law that is over every other law in Nigeria, is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The law provides for Nigerian citizens to be able to have a second citizenship. As you can see in my the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. First of all, I would like to run through some of the parts of the Constitution that talks about the citizenship. Section 25 of the Constitution talks about citizenship by birth. What that means is you can either be born in Nigeria, or if any of your parents or grandparents is a Nigerian, that means you are a citizen of Nigeria by birth. I'll come back to the citizenship by birth because there is something very key about the citizenship by birth, which is different from other forms of citizenship in Nigeria. Then we talk about Section 26 of the Constitution, which talks about citizenship by registration, which is where you get registered as a citizen of Nigeria. Normally CBI programs, even though we don't have CBI programs in Nigeria, that's Citizenship by Investment program, we don't have it in Nigeria. Normally CBI programs are citizenship by registration. Then you talk about Section 27, which talks about citizenship by naturalization. Naturalization is when you naturalize, you stayed in Nigeria, maybe you're married to a Nigerian, and over time you naturalize as a Nigerian and you get Nigerian citizenship. Then Section 28 specifically talks about dual citizenship in Nigeria, and it provides that Nigerians are free to have more than one passport. It is not against the law. It's very legal for Nigerians to have more than one passport. It's either you get the other passport through, maybe you were born outside Nigeria, or you naturalized, or you get it through registration, through CBI. There is nothing against the law regarding dual citizenship. So it's legal for Nigerians to have dual citizenship. Many a times when we speak to our clients, one of the questions they ask us is, how legal is it for Nigerians to have another passport? And based on what the Constitution provides, it is very legal for Nigerians to have dual citizenship. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So we move. In terms of another question that usually comes up when we speak to our clients is, some people will tell you that, oh, when you have dual citizenship, or you might not be able to contest for political positions or hold elective positions in Nigeria. That's another totally different, totally wrong impression that people have. It's not true at all. The only thing is, if you're not a Nigerian by birth, you might not be able to hold a political position, which was why I was referring to Section 25, which talks about citizenship by birth. Remember that being citizen by birth doesn't mean that you must be born in Nigeria. Even if you're born in any part of the world, as long as any of your parents or grandparents is a Nigerian, you are a citizen of Nigeria by birth. So that means you can contest for elective position and you can hold elective position. Whether you want to contest for the Senate or House of Reps or House of Assembly or governorship election or even the presidential election, there is absolutely nothing that prevents a Nigerian citizen by birth from holding dual nationality, which is why I listed out different sections of the Constitution which talks about disqualification from election. For example, Section 66 talks about disqualification from election into the Senate and House of Reps in Nigeria. There is absolutely no mention of being disqualified because you have dual citizenship. Section 107 talks about disqualification from House of Assembly elections. Absolutely nothing talks about that you'll be disqualified if you're not a Nigerian by birth. Section 182 talks about the governorship election. You can be a governor in Nigeria even if you have another passport. It talks about, Section 137 talks about disqualification from election if you're from presidential election, if you're a dual citizen. Once you're a citizen of Nigeria by birth, there is absolutely nothing in the Constitution that says that you cannot hold elective positions. We have many of our politicians, many of our governors, many of our senators, House of Rep members that have dual nationality, and absolutely nothing stops them from holding those elective positions. So apparently, we always try to, correct that impression that people have that, oh, I cannot get a second passport because I am not going to be able to hold an elective position in Nigeria. That's absolutely not true. There is nothing in the law that says it. And I will even take you over to case laws. There's a Supreme Court, appeal court decision, which I listed here, Dr. Willie Oguede and Aribo Sola. It's a 2004 appeal court decision. In that decision, the Court of Appeal, the judges of the Court of Appeal made it very clear that being a dual citizen is not one of the conditions for disqualifying someone from participating in an election in Nigeria. So it's already a settled case law that you cannot be disqualified from holding an elective position in Nigeria because you have dual citizenship. So there is absolutely nothing preventing someone from getting dual citizenship if you wish to go ahead and do that. Then I'll move forward to our role as immigration lawyers. As immigration lawyers, we understand what it means when people want to, take that decision of getting another citizenship. And because we work not just in one jurisdiction, we understand the immigration laws in different jurisdictions. So we're able to give proper advice, independent advice to clients who wish to go down this route for different reasons. Just like Dom explained, there are many reasons why people choose to acquire a second passport. But we look at it from an immigration perspective. And because we understand the laws that are applicable, because it's part of international law, we understand it very well. We're able to advise our clients on the best options that they need to take in order to be sure that they are not in breach of any laws. For example, we have a client, or we had a client one time. The client is from Botswana in Africa. And the client came to us and was talking about getting another citizenship. But when we carried out our research and investigation, we found out that Botswana citizens are not allowed to have a second passport. You have to renounce your citizenship of Botswana before you can obtain another passport. But that's not applicable to Nigerians. So in essence, it's always good to work with people that understand what the laws are all about and be able to give you proper advice, which is what we do. We always like to have a one-on-one consultation before we can advise our clients very well, even though these days, because of COVID, we're not able to sit with people most times, but it's always good to have that initial discussion and consultation, because that's where you understand what people's immigration needs are. Many times people tell you, oh, I need to apply for this citizenship because of this reason or that reason. In that way, we're able to understand what exactly the client needs to achieve before they can then start investing in any part of the CBI programs or in any of the residency programs that might eventually lead to citizenship. So we also look at it from an investment perspective, because some of these CBI programs is not just about citizenship, involves investment opportunities as well, where we can advise you on the right form of investment, return on your investment, and give you the right information that will, give you an opportunity to make that informed decision that you need to make. We usually conduct pre-screening on our clients. The reason why we do that is that we know that it's not everybody that is eligible for this CBI programs. So we usually, conduct pre-screening to make sure that the clients that are coming to us that want to apply, that they are even eligible from day one. So if you're not eligible, we'll have to explain to you that you're not really eligible. And there are many reasons why you might not be eligible. Maybe you have previous criminal records, which might prevent you from applying, or you have issues that has to do with refusals. You've been deported from some countries, and that would be an issue why you might not have to apply. So the essence of that pre-screening is to make sure that you are really eligible, your source of funds, you don't have any criminal records, your previous travel history. We look at all those things before we can advise you properly. And also as part of our job, because we understand that applying for citizenship is a very daunting process. There's a lot of paperwork to be completed, a lot of documents to be put together, due diligence that has to be done. So we hold the hands of our clients to make sure that they feel comfortable working with us whenever they have the urge to start this process. So it's more like giving you that support, support from day one, giving you that encouragement so that you don't feel left out when you start going down this process. We do that, and we do it very well. And even when you become a citizen, we offer post-citizenship services like helping you with opening up bank accounts, registration of businesses in the countries where you want to do your business or where you become the citizen. We help clients with managing their investment. I know some of our clients that have purchased real estate properties in the Caribbean islands. We've helped them with managing the properties to make sure that they get the right return on their investment. And also with E2 visa application, what that is there are many countries there are some countries in the Caribbean island that if you have their citizenship, like Grenada, you can apply for E2 visa. So we help our clients to, put that together, even when they've become the citizen of Grenada. So there's quite a number of things that we do in order to make sure that as immigration lawyers, we're able to help our clients achieve what they want to achieve and achieve it very well. Yeah, I usually, have this quotation that I put out whenever I have my webinar sessions, and I'll just read it quickly. There is so much happening around the world, and the only way to be more versed is to be a global citizen. Traveling from place to another all the time, Frida Pinto. It's self-explanatory. The world has become a global market now that people are not, it's not good to have yourself, secluded in one area, or all your investments, you put everything in one basket. No, it's always a good idea now to spread your tentacles around. There are many investment opportunities around the world, in the Europe, in the Asia, and the US. So it's always good for people to be able to have the opportunity to move around the world without hindrance. And visa application is one of the ways that people are being hindered, prevented from accessing the global market around the world. So this quote makes a whole lot of meaning to me whenever I read this quotation. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Kenny. Very good overview, and it really rings true these days, the global world we live in. More than ever, investors and investor migrants looking for these services. So now I'm going to dive into the particulars of each program in terms of the core CBI offerings that we advise on and facilitate. Because as you can imagine, it can be a bit of a minefield when you're researching this and trying to decide on which program is the most appropriate for yourself and your family. So quite a few slides coming up, so I'll be fairly efficient with them. Okay, so in the Caribbean, we have 5 as listed there. As I was saying, with the global mobility being the key motivation there, these passports that are granted post-approval with the citizenship, you have around about 143 to 157 countries, visa-free access, okay? So these all include the United Kingdom, the European Schengen Area, key destinations in Asia, Hong Kong, Singapore. So like I said, they all have visa-free access to these, what we call strategic destinations that we found over the years of advising are important to our clients. You'll see there as well, no minimum physical presence requirements. So the whole process is done by us, the licensed agent, on behalf of the client, without the need for you to leave Nigeria. So a quick overview table of the 5 in the Caribbean. Contribution, estimated process length. So that process length is from submission to the citizenship certificates, passports being issued. Okay. So you have 2 investment or contribution routes. You have an option to invest into a government-approved real estate project. So these are typically condominiums in a tourist resort, whereby you'd have shared or individual ownership, opportunity for rental yield, therefore a return on investment. Some have developer buyback through redemption shares. So lots of options that I describe in great detail on a private consultation. Or you have the contribution, which is to the country's essentially a sovereign wealth fund. So these are funds set up, established to finance public and private sector work. So to give you an idea of the impact that this FDI has on these countries, in St. Kitts, I think it accounts for around about 25% of the GDP. So they really do make an important impact to these local economies. So we'll look at Antigua and Barbuda first. So what I've done here is there are nuances between each program. So the highlight section is kind of what's unique to that program. So Antigua and Barbuda, as you can see there, visa-free travel to South Africa. So that is the only passport out of the 5 that has this access. So if a client says to me, look, I have business affairs in South Africa, any kind of reason to be there, then out of the 5, we channel them towards that. It's also cost effective for the family application. So, the average family size that I sign for and facilitate and advise for Nigeria is kind of 2 to 4. So the pricing there is good for Antigua, with the donation being 100,000 for a family of 4. You have there 4 qualifying investment options. Contribution, you've got the government through real estate. The eligible business investment is, we don't really see much of that. So I'd say really the 1, 2, and 4, with the University of West Indies being for families of 6 or more only. So just on these tables, we'll circulate these after the webinar, but just to give you an idea of subtotals for contribution versus real estate investment. So you can see a family of 4, 2 children under 2, and the real estate offering there. And the University of West Indies. So the 170,000 at the bottom there, that is typically for your subtotal of a family of 6. And this really makes sense, you know, if you do have with the option there of one dependent family member getting the 1-year scholarship for tuition at university, which is a nice value point. Okay, next we'll look at St. Kitts and Nevis. So St. Kitts was the first CBI program established, 1984. You'll see there the legacy value point. You know, a lot of people contact me saying they've already heard of St. Kitts because of the legacy value. It does have the passport with the most visa-free access in terms of total countries. You know, what is often important is, well, what unique countries does one passport have over the other? And we have a country access tool, which I link to all my prospective clients so that they can effectively compare each passport. It's a Commonwealth member. So the value point of this is there are some educational privileges. For example, in the United Kingdom, for postgrad education, you can have subsidized tuition on PhDs or master's degrees, some help towards living costs. So, you know, when you're talking to a family and, you know, there's an option to be educated in the UK or that's in their plans, you know, it's good to think about that extra value point. There is a 60 days accelerated route. And then here we have the 3 qualifying investment routes. Again, the contribution at this moment in time, so that is 150,000, okay, for a family of 4. That in theory runs out at the end of the year. It's likely to be renewed. It has been renewed previous to this. Before this, it would be 195,000 for family of 4. So you know, more competitive pricing under the limited time offer. You have the real estate for 400,000. As you can see, there are 2 different holding periods. So if you pay more, you have to, you know, the holding period is less, and vice versa. What has just been introduced is the private residence option. So you can purchase a private residence that is valued at 400,000. So this would really be for your client who likes the idea of having a private retirement home or is looking to spend a bit of time in the country. But you cannot then subsequently sell this asset to a CBI applicant. Whereas if you're going through the government approved real estate route, they're obviously designed to be sold to CBI applicants, you know, going over and over in the 7 or 5 year cycles. Again, a quick overview for you there of the subtotals. And on the real estate side, Dominica, highlights. So cost effective for a scenario really with just the main applicant in terms of the pricing, because you know, the donation does increase a lot when you start adding dependent family members. Another Commonwealth member. It does have a very highly praised quality government approved real estate project. I think it's a 6-star resort that has been achieving a tremendous investment, and also I think holds the record for some of the most expensive real estate on the island for north of 7 million. So any sort of questions on that I can answer offline. And again, the 2 qualifying investment options for you there. And then we'll go back into, you can see there, single applicant, main applicant only scenario, subtotal under 110,000, and then family of 4, you know, there's a real uptick in cost. This is why, you know, it's important from our point of view to guide based on budget, visa-free access, because, you know, it's very difficult unless you compare them in the context of what a client's needs are. It's a very difficult, you know, journey to take on your own. And there's another example of the real estate offering as well. So we have Grenada. Grenada has the only passport out of the 5 with visa-free access to China. So again, this is something that I'd ask up front in a consultation, is that important? And as Kenny touched on, it is an E2 treaty country with the US. So this enables Grenadian citizens are eligible to invest into the US. It's far quicker than the EB5, which is probably an immigration route that you would have potentially heard of, you know, processing time more like 2 months. But you do have to have a minimum shareholding of 50%. There are some sort of franchise models you'll see, but it is important to realize that it is more of an active investment into the US-based business, but it does give you that access with your spouse, and any children under the age of 21 can also join you as the investor. So again, if you have clients looking for some access to the US, then GRENADA wins, and also with the China visa-free travel play. And then again, you have the two investment options. So if you're then looking at the contribution, because of this added value of the potential of the E2 visa, you can see there that the pricing is slightly more than what we've been looking at with the other programs. But again, if it's important to the investor, then we go down this route. You can see there the real estate offering there is 220 in GRENADA. As I mentioned at the start, we do have a redemption share option, which is attractive because you don't have the worries of resale after the holding period. It's a nice capital preservation play. So, if a client has the funds available to remit or invest for this option, then it does make sense, because if you work out the net cost of citizenship, it can be pretty competitive. So LUCIA. So again, it's very competitive for a main applicant scenario, and you have the 4 qualifying investment routes here. Number 3, purchase of government bonds from 250,000. So this is a non-interest bearing bond. The country released the COVID relief bond. So you look at St. Kitts when they had the hurricane relief fund, ways of raising capital to deal with pandemics or adverse hurricanes, to raise capital to help the country with surplus cash to remedy any pandemic or, like I say, adverse weather conditions that could cause a lot of destruction. So if we look here at the COVID-19 relief bond, you can see how it's changed. So it used to be previous for a single applicant, $500,000, holding period 5 years, still 5 years, but they have reduced the amount to 50. Couple, as you can see there, the holding period has gone up to 6 years, but the amount remains 250. So again, for your investor who doesn't mind, putting 250,000 away for 5 years, because at the end of that 5 years, with the exit strategy of having redeeming the bond, your capital will be returned. So now we're moving to the South Pacific, Vanuatu. A lot of people inquire for Vanuatu. I think it's marketed far afield, so we'll touch on this quickly now. The highlights of Vanuatu really is one of them is the quicker processing time. It is around 2 months. You'll probably see sort of 4 to 6 weeks advertised. We've sort of been seeing it's more around 2 months at the moment. Another key aspect of this program is the structure of the submission to the government. So as you can see there, the only qualifying investment here is at the moment the contribution to the development support program. So just going back to the second point there about the pre-full submission DD that's done, just to give you an example of how this works, because with the other CBI programs, obviously we do our due diligence pre-screening to have you onboarded, but obviously this gives us a viewpoint of then submitting your file, and we know, because we've done our background checks, that there are no nefarious findings in your background. So that's a full file being submitted. Vanuatu, they say, look, let's have the financial intelligence unit do the DD first. So in a way, you've got less capital at risk. Again, we mitigate that risk anyway by doing our own due diligence, but just kind of showing you 2 different models here. So you have the DD cleared, and that is when the file is approved from a DD standpoint, and the balance or remainder of the file is then submitted. And you see there you have a 30-70% split for the contribution. So yeah, Vanuatu, as a passport, in theory, if you look at visa-free travel, isn't as powerful. But if I have a client saying to me, I like the idea of the quick processing, then you kind of look at Vanuatu. Okay, so next we're going to Europe. Malta is really considered, the tier 1 solution, recently revamped. So we're going to talk a little bit about this, the Maltese Exceptional Investment Naturalization Solution. Quite a wordful there. So let's look at these highlights. So with Malta, you have a lot of clients asking, I'd like to have access to the US, I'd like to have access to Canada, i.e. visa-free access without a visa, applying for visas. This has that. You also have, obviously, because Malta is a member of the European Union, once a citizen, you have the right of settlement in any of the 27 member states. And you can see there, from a due diligence standpoint, vetting process, regarded as the industry leader in how they operate and conduct their due diligence screening. As with anything in life, the more you spend, usually the better product you'll get. And you'll see there, you've noticed, there is a large capital outlay for this solution. So you have to, as the investor, fulfill each of the following investment contribution criteria. So you'll see there again another sovereign wealth fund set up to raise FDI. You have two options with this. Again, I'm being quite quick on this webinar because I'm giving you a high-level overview, but any questions, happy to take this offline. It's depending on residency status or residency length. So if you are willing to hold your residency status before applying for citizenship, you will be contributing 600,000. If you want to essentially have this process done quicker, you will be contributing 750 for 12 months. So 36 months versus 12 months. That is holding residency status in the country. You then have the option to lease property, which is very popular, or if you'd like to invest, you have the minimum purchase price there of 700,000. You then also, as well, to establish your nexus for this country, you have the donation to a local charity, minimum 10,000 euros. So if we look at the comparison table for this, you'll see for a single applicant, you're looking, almost 900,000 euros, and then the family of four, encroaching into the 1.1 with other fees included. Montenegro. So Montenegro, I'll just say off the bat, its 3-year timeline is coming up at the end of the year. So a little bit of urgency and time sensitivity with this one. We are still processing applications for it, but really we need to, have everything finalized by November. So you can see the visa for access play there. It is an official candidate for the EU. In terms of the country itself, we have a few colleagues who live there and have lived there part-time, have all praised its beauty, low cost of living, and there's also a lot of development going on. So kind of early stage development in some areas. So some savvy investors thinking, it could be the next Monaco. Lots of good product there to invest in. You'll see there with the investment options, it is a real estate play with a contribution as well. So you can see there 450 in the capital or the coastal regions, and then you have the 250, the lower threshold in the northern area or central outside of the capital or the Gorica. So yes, that is pretty much what we have on Montenegro. Again, just another little comparison of total capital outlay. And just really, the value for that, again, if you're thinking about this possible ascension to the EU, it's quite a good opportunity to invest in there, become a citizen of that country. And it's also, really for someone who can see themselves, in my opinion, spending, a good amount of time there. It's not a part of the requirements, but it does have that appeal. Well, thank you all for listening. I would like to now invite you all to ask any questions using the Q&A tab.